In this video, I'm going to tell you about 10 things you need to know before you even hop on the plane. London. We've all seen the movies, we've seen the pictures, we've heard the stories about this incredibly historic city. But is it worth a visit? Yes, the city once formed the center of Western civilization, but it's also known for being absurdly expensive, even with its pay-as-you-go toilets. I'm going to walk you through how to save money, how to not make the same mistakes as we made on our recent trip to London, and how to stay safe in this city. So yes, London is frightfully expensive, but not everything's going to cost you an arm and a leg. On our recent trip, we visited several amazing activities and attractions that didn't cost us a cent. Two of the most famous of these attractions are the British Museum and the Sky Garden. Now, the British Museum, of course, is famous for its historical artifacts collected from across the world, including the Rosetta Stone, the first major Egyptian hieroglyphics writing to be translated. And then there's the Sky Garden, the UK's highest public garden, several stories up in the air with amazing views across the city. Because these places are free and so amazing, they are exceptionally popular, and that means you do need to book your free ticket several weeks in advance online to avoid disappointment.
So we had to book several weeks ago as soon as bookings open, which from memory is about 3 weeks before your travel date.
Make sure you just Google what's available for free to do in London, because I think you'll be surprised at what is available. Now, on a sunny day, do make sure you check out many of the amazing public parks. These include St. James Park, Hyde Park, Kensington Gardens. Well worth your time, huge open spaces, and great for just watching people. Now, another activity you can do entirely for free, and that is something you will remember for the rest of your life, is attending an Evensong service at perhaps St. Paul's Cathedral or Westminster Abbey. Evensong is a church service that's held there most evenings, and so you are expected to participate in the service. You're not allowed to take photos or video, and you should stay all the way through to the end of the service. You don't have to be a Christian to attend these services, but it is an amazing experience. You'll hear world-class choirs singing there very often, and to sit in a place that's absolutely soaked in British history is quite a special experience. Westminster Abbey, for example, where we went to Evensong, has 18 monarchs buried there. It also is the burial place of Isaac Newton, David Livingstone, Charles Dickens, and many other famous figures from history.
So we have just come out of the Evensong service here at Westminster Abbey. I think that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life, just to be in a place that famous.
Now, a couple of things just to be prepared for. There's many people trying to get into these services, so you probably will need to queue up half an hour in advance. You don't need to book, but get there early. The second piece of advice I'd give you is check the website on the day to see if a service has been cancelled.
Okay, so we've experienced a little bit of disappointment here. We've gotten here in time for Evensong, that is normally at 5 o'clock in the evening, and tonight it's been cancelled.
The third thing you need to know before you get on the plane is that public transport in London is absurdly expensive. Even though there are daily caps on public transport use, those are still really high dollar values, and so you'll be spending a fortune. We spent £127 just for the three of us for 4 days of travel, even though Grace got discounted fares being a child. I would strongly encourage you to look at where your next activity is, and if it's only 2 or 3 subway stops away, to consider walking there if the weather permits it. This will allow you to see more of the city as you're walking above ground and will save you money. Now, fourthly, still on the public transport theme, you'll see a lot of people suggesting that you get the visitor Oyster card. That is terrible advice, and it was absolutely no saving for us, and in fact was a giant pain. Let me unpack that for you. Firstly, you have to get a child's visitor Oyster card validated.
We're supposed to be able to get Grace's card validated as a youth visitor for being aged under 14 or under 16, I believe it is. Everywhere you go, no one can do that. So we've tried at 3 different places to get her validated.
The second problem with the Visitor Oyster card is you have to order them in advance and they then deliver them to your home country. We paid £7 just for postage to get the cards delivered to us. Complete waste of time. If you're visiting family or friends, if they have a spare Oyster card, you'd be better off using that if you could get hold of one. Otherwise, just buy a regular Oyster card when you arrive. Another way to save money on public transport is to think about how you get from the airport into the city. Now, most travelers on international flights will probably arrive at Heathrow, which is the busiest of London's airports. But when you get to Heathrow Airport, you've got two main options of trains to get you to the city. One is the Heathrow Express and the other is the Elizabeth line. Now, the Heathrow Express is going to cost you about £10 each more than you'd pay to use the Elizabeth line. If you're not short of time, hop on the Elizabeth line to make major savings. Now, changing gears a little, let's talk about food. Point number 6, use supermarkets and market food as much as you can. There are amazing restaurants in London, and not all of them are overpriced, but they tend to be a lot more than we would typically be comfortable paying for a meal.
That was really good dinner. Cost us £27. The one thing I don't really like is that they automatically add a 12.5% service fee.
Places that we picked up lunches for really cheaply were the Borough Market, a Tesco Express supermarket, and the Notting Hill Market that's made famous by the movie of the same name.
All right, so we've just popped into a Tesco Express. That's like a convenience store for one of the supermarket brands here. And lunch in total for the three of us, £15.05. That included lots and lots of sandwiches, drinks, and 4 Snickers bars.
Now, if you are finding this video helpful, please remember to click like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And please leave your own comments here if you have other travel tips that you would offer for people traveling to London. But let's get straight into tip number 7. London is dirty. There's no other way to say it. We were shocked at how much more graffiti and litter there is on the streets than there was 10 or 12 years ago. It's still nowhere near as bad as several European cities, including places like Paris or Barcelona, but it's certainly trying to compete on the dirtiness front.
Gosh, look at the film. Modern Europe.
This means you're going to feel grubby and you're going to be grubby a lot of the time. I recommend that you bring hand gel or hand wipes with you so that you can freshen up regularly. While we're on the topic of dirtiness, one thing that really shocked us so that you'll need to know before you visit is the fact that many public toilets are pay as you go. That means you have to drop your 20p into a slot or even pay by credit card to access the toilets. We were quite shocked to see that coming from New Zealand, where public toilets are free and ubiquitous, but even in places like St. James Park, you literally have turnstiles to let you into the toilet once you've swiped your credit card. So bring some 20p coins with you or be ready to swipe that credit card to get into the toilet.
You literally have to scan your credit card at a turnstile to go into the public toilet. Elizabeth just used the 20 pence toilet. How was your experience? Was it worth it?
No. So they've obviously got 2 people in there that they're employing
Right.
to monitor the gate.
Okay, that you're paying.
Yeah.
But they're not cleaning.
They might be, but also a woman just walked through it.
Oh, right.
It beeped when she just went to the toilet and they didn't do anything.
Oh, right.
So-
Okay, so maybe that's the strategy to use. I'm not officially recommending it, but
No.
you know, if you got to go,
Also,
you got to go.
They were quite disgusting.
Of course, if you're super cheap or you resist on principle the idea of paying to use a toilet, you could pop into a department store. Personally, I always feel a little bit guilty doing that. I feel like I should probably purchase something for using the toilet at that department store. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether it's a good idea that you need to pay for public toilets or not. Now that brings us to point number 9, which is a way more positive point to make, and that was that I felt incredibly safe being in London. London historically has had its share of terrorist attacks and other atrocities, but I was amazed to see the response that they've had to that and how there is security everywhere, both police officers and private security. Now that might make some people feel more uncomfortable, the fact that there is that heightened security presence, but it made me feel a lot more secure. Our experience in London was dramatically different to what we saw in France, where you almost never saw police officers anywhere outside of a couple of main tourist attractions, and there was almost no private security whatsoever. Navigating a city can be hard, and so the final tip I want to share with you is don't be shy about asking for help, especially from your public transport service staff. We were amazed how friendly staff were from the moment we arrived at Heathrow through all our travels across London.
Now, just in case you thought I was perfect, and I know many of you are tempted to think that, kidding, I made a mistake about how to get to Baker Street. What was amazing was security staff on the platforms here. We found them all incredibly helpful and friendly.
So, should you visit London? Yes, it is absurdly expensive, but I think it is well worth at least one visit in your lifetime. To explore the history that it has on offer, the amazing sights and sounds, it's definitely worth a visit. Hopefully these tips will have been helpful for you in planning your own trip there. Travel well.